All right, Karsten versus Mondo just capped off here in Zurich, Switzerland, and in my opinion, this lived up to the hype. This delivered. Go to Sidious Mag. You can watch the entire replay, the entire full stream on the Sidious Mag YouTube channel. I mean, this was an immaculate performance. Huge shout out to, Puma and Red Bull for putting this together. Huge shout outs to Sidious Mag and Puma for the opportunity and the experience. I had like crazy access. I'm not even gonna lie. I was really out on the track, but I want to recap, not the exact race and all that, but kind of talk about the experience overall and talk about some of the good aspects of this race, the bad aspects of this race, at least from my viewing perspective, and then also in the future, right? Is this something that we would like to see as we look towards the future? Now, first off, what are some of the good things? The biggest thing to me is that Mondo and Karsten running a 100-meter dash race, something that both of them are not really privy to, right? Mondo's in the pole vault, Karsten is in the 400-meter hurdles. These two are the perfect athletes and the perfect personalities for a race and an event like this, right? Both of them are extremely chill, both of them are so laid back, but they also have this competitive nature where they actually took it serious on the track and then they hugged it up and they dapped it up after the lead up to it, right? They were laughing, they were joking in the press conference, all that. But then on top of that, both of them are extremely successful. Karsten Warholm, multiple-time world champion, previous Olympic champion, current world record holder in the 400-meter hurdles. Mondo Duplantis, multiple-time world champion, multiple-time Olympic champion, current world record holder in the pole vault. So they have the accolades in their respective events. So coming together in a 100-meter dash makes it really, really great. It's not just like, all due respect, some lower-level athletes who don't have like the high accolades. These guys are extremely talented. Also, the 100-meter dash is a perfect distance. Yes, both of them haven't run the 100-meter dash in years, right? Mondo since maybe his freshman year at LSU, and Karsten, maybe when he was, competing in the decathlon as a junior athlete, right? So that added to the mystery of like, whoa, hold on. They both have some really strong skills, but in the 100, it's a little bit different. Also, I think their personal bests were pretty close, right? I think it was 10.49 for Karsten Warholm. Mondo had run like 10.5 or something like that. So it was like, what can they actually do? So all those aspects really added to both of them being the perfect athletes for a 100-meter dash race and this event here. Now, on top of that, the actual event. Now, of course, I'm in the stadium, so I get to, see it in person from a lot of angles. I had a lot of access, so I appreciate, again, Sidious Mag, Puma. Y'all helped me out hugely here. The undercard in the event. So of course we know Karsten and Mondo, but they had a really interesting undercard that wasn't too serious, but then also had some serious elements. First off, they had breakdancing. We just saw breakdancing debut at the Olympics. It's not going to be in LA 2028. Some controversy with like ray gun and stuff like that, but they brought out breakdancing here. That, again, all due respect, not too serious in a sense, but got the crowd hype, something a little bit different than just a regular track meet. Also, after the breakdancing, they had BMX. They had a BMX rider on like a platform doing all these kind of tricks. And, I'm putting up the clips here so you can kind of see it. But it was really, really dope to, see, something just a little bit different from just the traditional track meet. And especially for an event like this, that's, not a traditional race for both these athletes, but really hyping it up. So you had the breakdancing, you had the BMX, but then you did have a quote unquote some seriousness with some local Swiss athletes competing in the 100-meter dash. And they build it as like finding the next Kambunji. So like the next Mujinga Kambunji, who's of course the top sprinter in the country. So that also made it really, really cool where you had some young athletes. They got a chance to compete in front of a really, really big crowd here. They filled out the entire grandstand here, the entire, home straight. This was a really, really great experience overall. So again, seriousness with the 100-meter dash races from the local athletes, but then, some fun with the breakdancing, the BMX, really, really great presentation. On top of that, they gave all the fans these cardboard cutouts that either had Mondo on the front or Karsten on the other side. And when the MC who was coming through, shout out to the MC, I think they really did a good job. I'll talk about some of the other aspects later. But they were coming through saying who you got, put up the Mondo sign, put up Karsten sign. It was red versus blue. They made it really, really engaging for the fans here who were, got a chance to watch the Mondo versus Karsten. Now, on top of that, the stage set for the walkout was immaculate in my opinion, in terms of just the visuals and the way that they set it up. Right here in the middle of the home straight, you have the athletes walking out from the middle, and they set the stage up with, the lights, all of it was right there. It was perfect. It was perfect. And of course, I'm showing you the visual here, but perfect setup, especially for those walkouts, right? Karsten comes out with his coach. His coach is wearing like the Viking horns, and he's like, I forget what it says on the back, but I'll put a picture here, but so dope. And of course, we've seen like, kind of, behind the scenes and interactions between Karsten and his coach. That relationship is insane. And I love that his coach, even though he's a little bit older, he has fun. So that was that. Mondo all due respect, listen, Mondo cooked. I thought that Mondo won off the entrance alone. Mondo coming out, looking hard, looking tough, all of that. Comes out with Sha'carri Richardson, with Fred Curley, with Vernon Norwood, with Letsy Tebogo, with Renaud Lavillenie, right? He has a squad behind him. And what I actually liked about the walkout, it was not 100%, but it was really focused on Mondo, right? The cameras could really go deep and, you know, put the camera straight on, you know, Sha'carri's face or Fred Curley's face, Renaud. You're talking about legends in the sport of track and field, gold medalists, you know, Olympic medalists, all these kind of athletes. But it really did focus on Mondo and just had them in the shadows, which I thought was really, really dope. That was hard. So after that, it legit felt like a boxing match, right? Again, Mondo and Karsten kind of coming out with their, you know, with their entourages, as, you know, Karsten with his coach, but they were coming out wearing the boxing robes, right? You know, Mondo had the blue, Karsten had the red. That really, really made it hype. And again, goes back to my first point. Both of them are the perfect personalities. They played into it. They made it feel like, yo, are they about to just stand here and forget the race and just fight, right? Like, yo, they really played into it. So I think that made it an amazing experience overall. Just the visuals, again, me here in the stadium watching it, absolutely immaculate. On top of that, they did play a video that also further hyped up the match, and it really, you know, kind of spoke about the history of the competition, where, you know, how they first spoke about it, I think at the Monaco Diamond League last year, and then how it kind of built up. That was really great, again, from a fan's perspective, where some of these people in the stands, probably they know that they're going to be racing, maybe they don't know all the history, but that video was really, really dope. So the other thing here is that there were so many top athletes who were in the stands here, and more than y'all even know, where, yes, on TV, we saw a couple of them, like Sam Kendricks, Dean Asher-Smith, Yaroslava Mohuchik, right? There was a couple athletes who were getting interviewed, you know, getting asked, like, who you got, this, that, whatever. That was super cool. But then you had some other athletes who were in the background, you know, just coming out here to watch. You had like Julian Alfred, you had Christian Coleman, you had, you know, Elaine Thompson-Herah was here, you had Wayne Pinnock was here, you had like Aaron Brown, you had Shamir Little, you had so many athletes who were just like out here chilling, watching the race. This really was built up, and I think the athletes got invested, the fans got invested, everyone really got invested in this event. And the last thing, of course, they created a lot of drama before the start. Of course, with the walk-up, but then them going to their blocks, a little pause and, you know, a little, you know, tension before they actually got started. That really made things even more hype. And again, if you're talking about only two athletes running a 100-meter dash, you're talking about, you know, 10 seconds or whatever, yeah, better make sure that this presentation is on point. I think they did exactly that. Also, finally, the fireworks show was immaculate. I mean, Zurich does it very well. After the Zurich Diamond League last year, which I got a chance to be at as well, they had an immaculate fireworks show, an immaculate display. They did the same thing for Mondo versus Karsten here. It was amazing. It was amazing. There was even a shot, I'll put a clip here, where it's like Mondo and Karsten looking out at the fireworks, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful scene. So huge shout outs to all of that. But there's some bad. I gotta talk about some of the bad, some of the things that didn't work well, at least from my viewing perspective here in the stadium. I will say at the top that most people told me the stream was absolutely perfect, it was beautiful, all that, but in the stadium, in the stream, a little bit different. Now, let me be very clear. All the things I noted as a good, talking about the presentation, the stage, the setup, the lights, the, you know, the walkouts, even the MC who was like getting the crowd hype, all of that was amazing. But the first thing that I don't think worked well, all due respect, Colin Jackson as the commentator. Colin Jackson is a legend in the sport, right? Legendary athlete when we're talking about the 60-meter hurdles, the 110-meter hurdles. Like, he is solidified as a legend. But he did not do great on the commentary here. I just have to be completely honest. It was like kind of awkward at times. Maybe the energy that he brings just isn't as great for, like, you know, this kind of setup. I don't know. It just wasn't that great. Colin Jackson does, you know, commentary on the BBC. He does like press conferences and interviews, and I think he does very well in those capacities in different ways. But I just don't think he was a great commentator for this event here, for this Karsten versus Mondo. Again, all due respect because he's a legend, but I think somebody else probably could have been a better pick. I also wanted to be clear, there was an MC that was like hyping up the crowd. Like I said, they were saying, you know, who you got, Karsten or Mondo, put up the signs and all that. They were hyping up the pre-program with the BMX and the breakdancing. But the commentary specifically about Karsten versus Mondo, I don't think that Colin Jackson did the best job. Just my opinion, but I don't know. Let me know what you think about Colin Jackson there. The other thing, and this is probably the big thing for me, is the presentation on the video that we saw here wasn't that great. It was very choppy, really mixed, and didn't convey the storytelling in the best way that we really should have gotten. Again, on the stream, I probably think it was really good. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it in full yet, but we had 2 big screens here. So in the little walkout in the center, there was like 2 screens on the side, and of course, I'll put up a video and picture here. So on those screens, they were displaying various different things. Like I said, they did a little, montage video talking about the history of how this came about. That was great. But then they did these little videos in the background, underground or wherever it is, of like Mondo and Karsten, in the blocks and like getting prepared and doing some commentary. I don't know. It was like some interesting things. This is where I was a little mixed, because for us in the stadium, at a lot of those points, it would just immediately cut to one of those scenes without much context for us. So, the MC wouldn't say like, check out this video, on the screen. They would just like cut to the video, and then it would maybe cut back to something else on the track, and then cut back to something else. It was really kind of choppy at a sense. And then because of that, we didn't have much context as to what exactly was going on, right? There were some times that, Mondo was talking to Karsten, they were having some banter, could hear it sometimes and it was really great, but then other times it's just like, I don't even know what they're saying. Sometimes the sound was just completely off where they'd be talking and we wouldn't be able to hear anything. Sometimes the video kind of completely cut off, or it would be like really choppy. It was really not man, I don't know. I don't want to be too critical, but it wasn't the greatest presentation at certain points. For the most part, it was like pretty good, but at certain points, it wasn't great. I think with, them in the background, them having that banter, them having those conversations, talking about Karsten and Mondo, if it was really displayed well for us here, that could have added to the hype, to the intensity, to the, the entire story that was going on here. But it was, again, really, really choppy, really confusing. There was even a point where Colin Jackson was in a car. Again, this is in the background. Colin Jackson's in a car and Mondo and Karsten are like sitting at the top of the car. And it looks like this is about to be their walkout onto the track. But then I see Colin Jackson just like standing in the middle. So I'm like a little confused. Again, they didn't give us context as to what initially was going on the screen. So it was a little, confusing. And then, like I said, there was points where the either the sound wasn't working or like the video cut off or something like that. And there was like some awkward moments where Colin Jackson was just like standing in the middle, just smiling for like low-key like a good 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes. I don't know how long it was, but it was really, really awkward as they were kind of getting the screen together and like showing whatever. So that experience in the stadium wasn't as great. I need to watch back the full stream. People were telling me that was immaculate, but again, in stadium, a little bit different than on the screen. So not too many bad points for the most part, but I did want to make sure I can call those out. The good overwhelmingly exceeds the bad. Overwhelmingly. This was an immaculate event, immaculate presentation. Shout out to Puma and Red Bull, of course, for putting this together. Shout out to Sidious Mag. They, of course, streamed it live in the United States. You can check out the replay. Now, let's talk about the future. I think this absolutely needs to continue into the future. This was so amazing, so hype. This got the crowd, this got the fans, it's got so much going on, so much hype. Now, I think this could happen maybe once a year, where you put on an event like this at an inconsequential part during the season, maybe after the Olympic Games, or maybe, very, very late in the season. Of course, the world champs are going to start to end the season, but at some point, I think once a year, an event like this could happen. And what I would like to see is maybe more of an undercard that does have a couple more of these head-to-heads, right? We had Karsten versus Mondo here, and then we had, BMX and breakdancing and some local races. But what if we put together a card that had 3 or 4 of these competitions? I think that would be great. Really short, really compact, get everyone really hyped for it, and that could be excellent. But the big thing that is necessary is some strong personalities. Like I said, Mondo and Karsten were perfect for this because they are so chill, they're so lighthearted, but then they also took this very seriously. So I think we do need some personalities. One of the biggest ones, here's some examples. Rai Benjamin versus Grant Holloway in the 200-meter hurdles. Again, both of them are extremely fun. Both of them are coming from events where 400-meter hurdles, 110-meter hurdles. Meet in the middle, I think that'd be a perfect clash. And again, those personalities, Rai and Grant, are extremely fun. You know that they're gonna be, having that good banter back and forth, but then you also know that they're gonna take a race like that seriously. I think something like that would be great. On the women's side, what about Tara Davis-Woodhull versus Yaroslava Mohuchik in the heptathlon or in the triple jump or something like that? Again, Yaroslava Mohuchik, world record holder in the high jump, she's immaculate, won multiple medals, Olympic champion, all that stuff, right? Tara Davis-Woodhull, Olympic champion, she's been undefeated this year, I think, previous, world championship medalist. Both of them have insanely good personalities. And the heptathlon, I think that could, really play into both of their favors, where yes, Tara might have an edge when we're talking about the long jump and even the hurdles. But then, I don't know, Yaroslav Hušek in that high jump, right? Maybe in the throws. I don't know, right? Mix things up with them. That could be a really good competition. What about Letícia Teboho versus Alison Dos Santos in the long jump? Now, again, I'm trying to get some good personalities, guys who are really fun, but then also would probably take something serious. Also have some strong accolades. Alison Dos Santos, former world champion in the 400-meter hurdles, and of course, a multiple-time medalist. You also have Letícia Teboho, Olympic champion, multiple-time medalist when we're talking about the sprints. But put them both in the long jump. I don't know. Probably you might say Letícia Teboho might be able to get it because he has that speed, but I don't know. Alison Dos Santos, he's like really tall. He also has a little bit of speed. That could be something that's really, really fun. What about Stefan Hassan versus Femke Bol in the 600 meters? Now, this one might be a little tricky. I don't know. This could be really interesting, but again, I was trying to think of like, you know, two personalities who might be really, really fun, but then would really put things on the track. Stefan Hassan, she's moved up to the marathon, at least, you know, the longer distances, 5K, 10K, marathon. Maybe losing a little step on when we're talking about the 800, but so dive back down into the 600. Femke Bol, 400 and 400 meter hurdles, but I don't know, could she step up to the 600? That could be a really, really good competition. Two personalities, both of them, you know, compete for the Netherlands. That could be some really, really good, something good. The other thing I thought about was Ryan Krauser versus Daniel Stahl, maybe in the hammer throw. Now, I don't know, this would be interesting. Daniel Stahl is, even Ryan Krauser, right? They're a little bit, quote unquote, older, all due respect to both of y'all, but, you know, I think Daniel Stahl is like 32, Ryan Krauser is 31 or something like that, right? So, but I think that could be really fun, right? Daniel Stahl, he's a, you know, former world champion in the discus throw, Olympic champion as well. And then you have, you know, Ryan Krauser, of course, the GOAT of the shot put. I think that'd be super fun. And the reason I'm picking those two is because of their personalities. They seem like so much fun. They seem like they'd be engaging. They seem like they'd go out there and, you know, really throw things down. I think that could be something really interesting. And it's not the discus throw where, of course, Daniel Stahl has that. Ryan Krauser has some chops maybe, but hammer throw. Switch it up. So let's say we put a card together that has just 3 different exhibition events that can go really quick. We talk about what, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours of the entire thing, hype it up just like they did here. That could be really, really exciting. And this isn't unprecedented. Think back to Michael Johnson versus Donovan Bailey, right? That famous 150-meter race out in Toronto where, of course, we saw Michael Johnson pull up. That was, of course, hyped up and built up as a race for the fastest man in the world, right? Olympic champion in the 100-meter dash, Donovan Bailey, world record holder. Olympic champion in the 200, world record holder. Come to clash together at the 150-meter dash. But at that card in 1997, those weren't the only 2 guys running. They had a bunch of head-to-head matchups all on the undercard behind them. You had guys like Sergei Buka versus Okhard Bis in the pole vault. Apologies for the pronunciation. I think Buka actually might have pulled out and then launched Johnson might have replaced him. There was some like sketchy stuff with that. Then you had Jackie Jordan-Kersee versus Heike Dressler in the long jump. Both of them extremely successful during the late 80s and the 90s, head-to-head in that long jump. You had Patrick Stolberg versus Charles Austin in the high jump. I think Charles Austin was the Olympic champion in the high jump. Patrick was the, I think, former world champion. I'll put it up on the screen, but, you know, they were like the top people. This was a full card, that undercard underneath Michael Johnson versus Donovan Bailey. Let's replicate that. So those are just some ideas, some thoughts, but let me know what you thought about this overall Mondo versus Karsten, especially if you were viewing at home or if you were here in the stadium. Let me know what you thought about the experience. Is this something we want to see in the future? Do you want to see more of these matchups? Maybe once a year, maybe more frequently throughout the year? I don't know, but let me know what you think. Always appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.